being a teenager can be stressful.
It can be amazing.
It can be difficult.
It can be shocking
And fun.
It can be expensive.
It can be lonely.
It can be ridiculously hard.
But being a teenager with a disability is all of that and more.
Hi, my name is Brian and this is my story.
Brian was born to Doug and Michelle Smithman in 1993. He was the beautiful redhead complement to his older sister Emily. The Smithmans had the ideal family and they were happy. It wasn't until Brian was 6 months old they realized that he was special. After 4 months, Brian's development slowed tremendously, and he was only using his left hand. At 6 months, Brian was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and his parents were told he may never walk or talk.
One of the big goals we have for Brian was that he would walk. He didn't walk till he was past 3. They told us at 6 months of age when he was diagnosed that they didn't know if he ever would walk. By 8 months, they said they felt that he had some of the precursors, these reflexes that would allow him to walk. At about a year, he started wearing orthotics inside his sneakers. For the next 2 years, we kept adjusting them. We used different physical therapists, different occupational therapists, different orthotists. And eventually, when he was 3 years and 3 months and 17 days old, he walked across a room like he'd been doing it forever. It was unbelievable. And so many people were so excited. I remember we went to the synagogue one night and they have a wheelchair ramp up to the bima, the pulpit. And Brian got up and kept walking back and forth in the middle of services. Nobody complained, nobody said anything. People just really enjoyed watching him. I was walking out of a friend's house. My daughter had a play date when she was 5. And we were walking out of her friend's house. And Brian and Emily and I were walking to the car. And I turned around, my girlfriend is still standing in her doorway, and I said, "Did we forget something?" She said, "No. I just so enjoy watching him walk. I can't get enough of it."
Brian did walk, and in fact, he ran. Brian has played soccer for 12 years. He takes classes at Settlement Music School and has for the past 10 years, and he has participated in the Special Olympics for the last 4. Brian loves the outdoors. Brian's favorite things are sports, music, and girls, in that order. Doug and Michelle wanted Brian's life to be as normal as any other child. They made sure he experienced the milestones associated with growing up. One of Brian's greatest champions is his sister Emily. She often calls Brian her inspiration, but explains she didn't always feel that way.
I remember one time I went to my friend Julie's house for a sleepover, and I had to be 5 or 6 years old, and Julie was playing Monopoly with her little brother, who is about Brian's age. And in my head, brothers were for taking care of, and friends were for playing with, and it just didn't make sense that she could play a game with her brother. But Brian is so much more than someone who I can just play Monopoly with. He's inspiring and motivational, and he is always there for me. Even if he doesn't understand the problem, he is there to hug me and make me feel better.
Since then, Emily and Brian have formed a bond that their parents are proud of, but they still manage to behave like siblings.
He's had to deal with tremendous obstacles in his life, and he's overcome all of them, laughing and smiling, and with a really great and sometimes in-your-face personality.
When Brian turned 13, his mother wanted him to be bar mitzvahed. She was concerned about him doing it alone, so Brian's father decided to do it with him. They had a B'nai mitzvah. Brian recited 11 out of 18 prayers and read Torah. The sanctuary was completely packed. No one was more proud than Brian Zeta, his grandfather. Brian and his grandfather have always been close. Brian's dad says they share the same laid-back disposition. Brian loved to have dinner with his Zeta. They would sit side by side and watch sports for hours together. Brian has been to 11 countries exploring and learning about their food, their transportation, their museums, and the history. He is currently a senior in high school and participates in the work-study program, working at Montgomery County Community College in the cafeteria and Marshall's in the shoe department. He wants a job where he can be around people, and cute girls.
Brian, as many of you know through this movie, is a child with a disability. And there's an old expression that it takes a village to raise a child. When you have a child with a disability, it takes more like a small city. There are so many people involved in your life that are there to help you rear your child and give them a good, full, healthy, happy life.
Brian Zeta, Michelle's father, passed away in January while Brian was making this film. Brian has dedicated this film to his Zeta.